being so dependent that somebody will pick you and then you will be that lucky one and then you will be successful. I always felt that this is not the right way to go. Hello guys! Are you just like me and you're looking for new ways to feel more empowered and confident about your career? In this video, I will tell you about 3 crucial mistakes every artist should avoid. Mistake number 1, trying to fit in only within your niche. I recently got really frustrated because I realized how tired I am from being dependent on festival organizers, promoters, funding bodies. I'm sure that you also been in a situation where you spent tons of time, hours and hours filling applications and then getting negative results. And the worst thing is that you still have to do the project. So I've been in this situation quite a few times. And if we are trying to only think about our niche, it can feel very limiting, especially if you are a curious artist. It can relate to many aspects. For example, choosing your repertoire, choosing your musical projects, choosing what events you attend and with whom you communicate. As a personal example, I'd like to share a very funny story. 5 years ago, I applied to a youth organization in the UK as I wanted to get more performing opportunities. I used a video from a masterclass in Europe in this beautiful house where the guests were asked to wear slippers and not to wear shoes. So even in the concert setting, we didn't wear our concert shoes. And in the video, I played with slippers. I used this video because I really liked how I played. I think I played Chopin's Ballad No. 4. And after sending my application, I received a very funny email. Let me share it with you. I know we have to take shoes off when we go into some homes, including mine, but you really cannot be giving a performance which is recorded in slippers. I am telling you this to guide you so that you make sure this does not happen to you in the future. When you apply to festivals and masterclasses, I would advise you to send another video or to edit this video so that only your upper body and hands can be seen. So it is very funny because after 5 years, I co-founded a piano duo with my friend Anna. We came up with an idea to perform music installations. We basically invite people to lie down on yoga mats and we create this immersive music listening experience. We call this performance sound meditation. We play Mozart, Gershwin, Ravel, Debussy. I read meditations. And in this performance, we actually play barefoot or wearing socks. So if I would have listened to this advice to never play in slippers, I would have never allowed myself to actually do such a performance like sound meditation. Another example is Jacob Collier. If you observe Jacob, he quite often wears Crocs. And you could technically say that this is quite an inappropriate shoe wear for a stage. It just works so well for him. I feel like his music is about comfort and relaxation and beauty. And I think what he wears represents that. So this realization made me really rethink how I think about my career. And I realized that if I will be following the rules only within the classical music niche, I will really close myself into a little box and I will not be able to experiment. So be brave and look outside your niche. Mistake number 2, try to copy what other musicians do. If you think about classical musician, you will probably think that, oh, the best strategy to build your career is to go to music competitions. This is a very, very standard thing to do. I still think that music competitions are very important because it really helps you to mobilize. You actually get better as a musician. Basically, you just build a massive stamina for performing. On the other hand, it can really get you stuck. For example, playing the same repertoire or playing repertoire which you don't even like, because quite often they require for you to play some obligatory pieces and that can be really annoying. As for myself, I participated in some quite big competitions, but I always felt very weird performing under such a high pressure. And I think I could never properly relax to be able to play well. And in general, for me, making art in such a tensed environment felt weird. So I always felt that investing time into what I really care was always more meaningful than for me to prepare for competitions. I actually created my own festival, founded a podcast, started doing projects with my piano duo partner, Anna. And the funny thing is, once you start focusing on your own projects, you suddenly feel that you are much more in control of your own career. And I think what happens with competitions that very often you invest so much time It can actually sometimes last years if you have to play very, very big pieces like concertos with orchestra. And then suddenly someone can say like, no, you're not good enough. You're not getting any opportunities. This cycle of being so dependent that somebody will pick you and then you will be that lucky one and then you will be successful. I always felt that this is not the right way to go. And I remember this quote from a famous American author, Seth Godin. He actually talked about this in his blog post in 2011. It's a cultural instinct to wait to get picked, to seek out the permission and authority that comes from a publisher or talk show host or even a blogger saying, I picked you. Once you reject that impulse and realize that no one is going to select you, then you can actually get to work. So basically, to wait until you will be picked by someone else, it's a little bit dumb. Instead of waiting and just sitting around, you can actually create your own opportunities and start doing things on your own. Mistake number 3, worry too much what other people think of you. As musicians, we very often worry so much about what our colleagues think of us. As classical musicians, we grew up in a very, very strict and critical environment, which actually helps us to be great musicians. Obviously, our whole studying process is based on feedback, but I feel like that kind of mindset is really ingrained in our own personalities. And once you are focused so much on what your colleagues are thinking of you, most likely you will feel a huge inhibition to try something new and to fail. But the funny thing is that only by failing, you can actually learn. Also, you have to understand that classical music industry is very conservative. I talked about this on my podcast Open Arted with values consultant Jurgita Gaukšte. In our episode, we discussed about how the industry of classical music is so conservative and is reluctant to change. And the funny thing is that if we want that classical music survives, we will need to learn how to change and how to implement that change. And I think this is the biggest threat for classical music because we are so reluctant of any things which are not according to the niche. So this is why once you decide to do something different, you will always feel as if you are betraying your values. This is totally okay to feel like this because think about it. You've been studying for 20, 25 years and you've been always thinking that this is the core value of being a musician. And now suddenly, just like me, you end up performing with contemporary circus performers, also barefoot in the Contemporary Art Museum, playing Gershwin. This can feel really, really, really crazy. So if you are thinking about doing something outside the box, you might get the feeling that you are betraying your values. But this is a very, very natural step towards a change. So if you feel like that, don't worry. This is totally normal. You have to understand that the art you are creating is not the art for your colleagues. And in a way, once you realize this, it becomes very freeing. Okay, but this is much easier to say than to do. And probably we will still want that our colleagues respect us. Artists respect brave artists. So I think if you really trust in what you do, and if you go for it, normally other fellow musicians really respect you. This is at least my own experience. And I do too really respect people who are trying to achieve their goals, even though they are slightly different from the whole classical music niche. So to sum up, I really would like to use this quote. It is insanity doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. We have to change our strategies about how we think about our career. And if classical music community would be more supportive of us trying something different, we would all be better off. If you like this video, please check the description and especially the episodes which I mentioned in this video. And also you might consider joining our Patreon community where we talk a little bit more in depth about being a musician. So thank you so much for sticking till the end and I'll see you in the next one.